I do.
Go
I do
ahead.
have our housekeeping slide here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Mindset Bootcamp session 4. So far, all of the trainings have been amazing, and I'm looking forward to this one. I've been able to be a part of all of them and hear all the great content, so I'm sure that you're in for a lot of good information. This is a 1-hour training plus Q&A, so we do ask you that you put your questions in the chat, and Sergio and myself will share those with the speaker. Please mute yourself unless you're speaking. If you have any questions or comments, please use the chat feature or raise your hand and we can call on you. And chat interaction is highly encouraged. You might even win a prize. So thank you. Sergio, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. That's my little corny. The show is about to get started. Let's go. I'm so excited to be able to present to you our speaker today, Melinda DiPerna, who I met back somewhere in the fall, summer, around spring or summer of 2016. And she is a beautiful soul. She's very, very, very good at what she does. And she brings an interesting perspective because she had, I think, a broker's license for many years and then switched over from property management into sales. So I've watched her really create a very niche business in a way that I've never seen anyone else do before. And it's always intrigued me how she's pulled it off. So without further ado, Melinda, thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Sergio, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I did have a vacation rental property management business, so I've been out of that for a little while. Anybody who wants to talk about vacation rentals and the pluses and minuses, though, feel free to reach out to me. It's not the easy money that people will have you believe. So we'll just leave that there. 10 years ago, so I got my broker's license in 2006, and that's what, 14 years ago, I said, I will never sell, ever. I had been in chemical sales at a young age, and it was a horrible experience. And then in 2013, I found myself in a position that I needed to go back out and make the kind of money that we can make in real estate. And I said, I've got this broker's license, time to go put it to work. And here we are, and I love it. I found my calling, and as Serge said, I found my niche, because there are ways of selling that I don't enjoy. So this has really been born around what I enjoy. I do have a couple of ground rules of my own. You can see I'm at home. There's a bird right there. There's a dog on the floor. There's a cat locked in my bedroom, and there's a young adult child upstairs asleep. So I make no promises about the noise. If the Amazon guy shows up, all hell breaks loose here. So be patient with me. They're all in the room with me to try to keep them quiet, and that's the reality. I think we can all appreciate it. The other thing is that I like to teach in person. I'm very interactive. I don't love to follow my slides. I'm going to share my screen and share them with you because I like to get a feel for my audience. So I'm going to ask you to use the chat and really try to interact with me and slow me down a little bit. This is only my second time doing this class virtually. And so it's named Double Your GCI with Agent to Agent Referrals. My hope is to bring you value today to help you build another pillar to your business, whether you're brand new to doing agent to agent referrals, or if it's something you've been doing for years and you want to expand upon that. That's what I'm hoping to bring you. So when you have questions, you don't have to hold them to the end, put them into the chat box, raise your hand, unmute yourself, interrupt me. I'm originally from Boston, which you'll find out here, or from New England. So interrupting and interacting are pretty much the way we speak, okay? All right, so I'm gonna share my screen with you. Don't judge if you see all the stuff on my desktop. I'm one of those people. And we're gonna share this presentation. So double your GCI with Agent to Agent Referrals. I guess the first question I have, and you guys can put this up in the chat, I can't see the chat when I share my screen, is there anyone in the room who's never done an agent to agent referral? And that is that you've either given a referral or you've received one that there's for a client buying or selling somewhere outside of your area or your expertise?
I'll monitor the chat, Melinda.
Okay, you let me know if there's anybody that's never done one. Okay, so how did I get into this? Well, I'm from New England, okay? So I grew up there, born and raised. I don't have a big sphere of influence here in San Diego. By the way, I should back up. I'm in San Diego, so I'm just west of you. And I used to live in Orange County, and I used to live in Chicago. I was one of those corporate people who moved around. So this was natural to me. My family is scattered all over the country. So for me, it was natural to get into agent-to-agent referral. But why would you want to get into agent-to-agent referral? Well, myself, I averaged $75,000 of GCI over the last 5 years with agent-to-agent referrals. So that's a nice chunk of money. If we do with the National Association of Realtors, that's more than most agents make in a year just on their regular business. Any given year is 25 to 70% of my business. I personally like the 25% target. I don't like to rely on one source for anything. The other reason, you're in Riverside County. It's a very transient population here in Southern California. We move all over the place. Within the county we move, between counties we move, and we move out of the area. In fact, I don't know for sure, but you're probably seeing the same thing we see. A lot of our seniors are cashing out of their expensive Southern California homes and moving to more tax favorable and lower cost of living states like Texas and Arizona and Nevada, or they're moving to be closer to family for health reasons. The other reason to get into agent-to-agent would be military. So those of you who work on the border towns that might service Camp Pendleton, or is March Air Force Base, that's in your region, right?
That's about 30 minutes.
Okay, so in fact, I even have a Homeland guy who works at March on the weekends. So he's active duty Air Force, but he's on loan to Homeland. So because of your military, for your second home people, for those of us that live near the coast, those homes inland actually are attractive because we don't get that warm heat. So that's another reason. And investors, because your price point is lower, you've got a very good investor market where we can actually make it cash flow positive from day one, whereas in San Diego, we might not be able to do that. So I'm looking, like when I'm advising my clients, I'm looking to you as an investment opportunity because it's still commutable. Or even that vacation rental that we kind of talked at the very beginning. Who might be wanting to do this? Well, these are two of my referral partners. This is Randy in Maui, and this is Christy in Boulder. So for me, I had family in Hawaii when I started in this business, and I have family in Boulder when I started in this business. So you'll see that it's purposeful, not necessarily just entrepreneurial. So hang on, I'm using Prezi, and it's cool, but it can be a little tricky if I hit the wrong mouse thing. Yeah. Hang on, I'm still struggling here. All right. So it's a where and a who. Military, seniors, investors, luxury. It's a where. Where do you know people? Where do people move from? Where do they move to? I'm going to share with you a quick 5-minute video. So this is my colleague, and she goes into who you work with matters. Okay, so not only on who you work with for your client, but who you work with your referral partner. This class actually, let me back up a second. This class actually came from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe by a show of hands, and Serge, you can let me know. How many of you have been on the Facebook referral boards? That somebody says, I have a referral for Temecula, and 50 people mention the same person. Do you guys see that where you're at?
Nothing.
Mike sees it. I can see Mike in my thing.
Give me a second. Give me a second. So no, the answer is no. The collective is no, and 4 answered have never done a referral
Oh,
agent to agent.
okay. So this is great. I'll slow down a little bit then. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the ways that you can get referrals is through Facebook. So when I started doing this, I'm with Keller Williams. So it's the largest brokerage in the country. And there's an advantage to that when it comes to referrals. We have our own private groups. There's probably 10 of them that are KW only. And then there's places like Lab Coat Agents Referrals. There's other big groups. There's a Military Relo Pro Referrals. There's all sorts of groups on Facebook. And so when I started in this business doing referrals 4 or 5 years ago, I, for the first time in my life, became the popular girl in San Diego. And it came from relationships I had, but I was that person that would be mentioned for San Diego referrals all the time. And about half of the time I would end up interviewing for the job and getting the job with a referral. Well, then the environment changed a little bit and it became more of a fan club kind of environment. And what we found is that agents giving out referrals are no different than sellers interviewing agents to list their house or buyers, that they go with the first person they speak to. So imagine that on Facebook, that you've got 50 people for Temecula and the agent just hires the first one. And it may or may not be a good match for the client. It may or may not be a good match for the location. You know, how many people handle, you know, Hemet and Murrieta, and that may not be a good match because they go to Hemet once a year versus the agent who's in Hemet. So my colleague Catherine is in Miami, and she's going to talk a little bit about what to look for in your referral partner, because this is really, really important. Who you work with matters, and she's going to talk a little bit of why.
Hello everyone, this is Catherine Rain out of Miami, Florida, and thank you so much for having me on your class today, Melinda. It's such an honor. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my referral business. In 2019, I had about $250,000 of my GCI come from referral business, inbound and outbound referrals. And a lot of you are probably asking, so how do I choose my referral partners? So there is several criteria that I look for. A, I want to have an agent that has a good reputation, someone that has closed deals and that has closed deals successfully. Because A, I want to collect my paycheck at the end of the transaction, and B, my reputation is on the line with my clients. By referring you as an agent to my clients, it also says a lot about me, because if you don't deliver, my client will look at me and say, why did you refer this agent? So it is very important that you vet your referral agents. Don't just post in one of those fan clubs online and looking for an agent, go whoever's name is screamed the loudest, because that's not how it works. There's a lot of people that pay for those referral groups and for those fan clubs. So you want to make sure that you check out the agent, that they actually have done business. You can either Google them real quick on Zillow, see if they have active listings, how much they closed last year, or you go in your Kelly app and it will show you exactly if they listed or sold homes. So that is very important to me. It doesn't always need to be a top producer. Sometimes I take a chance on a less experienced agent, but I want to see that they have done business. Okay. Number two is I want to know that they communicate well with me and my clients. I want to make sure that they respond quickly to text and email, and that they don't take a day to respond. Number three is personality. So if I have a buyer that is very slow and that needs a lot of patience and that's taking his time, I'm not going to refer them to an agent with a really, really high D that I can't wait to get the deal done and can't have the patience until the end of the deal and drops out. I refer them to a very kind, patient, slower paced agent. You get the point, right? At the same time, if you refer a slow agent to someone that has a really high D and needs to get stuff done and is waiting to get the email, and it takes the agent to send it for 4 hours, it's not going to work. So personality is extremely important. If you know the DISC profile, you really got to, hire the agent as per this profile. So that's very, very important. And then a little trick and tip that I can give you is with referral agents, see them as your partners. So the referral agent that have given me referrals last year, they majorly contributed to my success. So I want to make sure I put them on a throne, that they are my kings and queens, because they are the ones that led me to my success. And I recorded a little video that I sent to all the team leaders of the agents that sent me business last year, congratulating them on always educating their agents about referrals, because thanks to all that referral business last year, I was #1 single agent in the entire state of Florida. And that video that I sent them, they actually posted it on team meetings, they posted it on Facebook pages, and that gave those agents a lot of recognition, because after all, they're getting 25% of the commission. You're getting the big paycheck. So please, like, be grateful to those agents. They're not doing you a favor. You're not doing them a favor. They're doing you a favor for sending that big check. That's really an amazing opportunity. And then I do a lot of masterminding with other agents. I offer them advice if I see that they're struggling or if they need any help. I always also do videos like that, and I send it to them. And yeah, I have a very tight network with my referrals. I sometimes send little gifts, little cards. It's almost like a family to me. So yeah, that's how I treat my agents. They're for me family. They are loved. I love on them, and I treat them extremely well. So I hope this was all helpful to you. Enjoy the rest of your class with Melinda. And if you want to get in touch with me, again, my name is Catherine Rain. I'm in Miami, Florida. And if you want to check out my website, it's beautifulmiami.com. I'm also on Facebook, on Instagram, Beautiful Miami Team. My phone number is 305-735-6939, or you can also email me. My email is bymiamiwithme@gmail.com. And you all have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.
So I hope you caught at the beginning that Catherine did $250,000 of GCI from inbound and outbound referrals, and that she loves on her referral partners, that she honors them. Oh, somebody's not muted. There we go. That she honors them, and that she selects them carefully because they reflect upon her. So I had a text last night from our former director of first impressions, which non-KW people, that's our receptionist. And she lives in Ashtabula, Ohio. And that is far east of Cleveland on Lake Erie. And she needs a referral for that. And so when I choose a partner, and I asked, do you just want a couple names, or do you want me to make the choice? It's for her brother. When I asked her about that, I asked her, I don't know her brother. So I asked her about her brother, why, what he's like, what he's looking for. And then I'm actually going to interview those agents. I actually don't have a referral partner for Ashtabula. I have referral partners for Cleveland and East Cleveland. And I asked them who they would refer. So I have 3 layers of loving that I need to do. The gal who reached out to me, the 2 people who gave me new names, and now my 2 new referral partners for that area of Ohio. And it doesn't matter whether the deal ever converts or not. I need to love on them for the opportunity they gave me to do business. Because think about it, an outbound referral, I have no skin in the game. I don't know what the price point is, but it's a few $1,000s for what? I spent 15 minutes texting people. I'll spend a half an hour interviewing agents today. And then maybe another 15 minutes of follow-up throughout the process. So for an hour of work, that's pretty significant. So I better do my due diligence. So that's really, really important in this process, that you treat your people like partners. And then you don't forget about them. Then you have a system. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a moment. Any questions yet, Serge? You're muted. Sergio, any questions yet from anyone?
Let me unmute myself. And right now we're good.
Okay. So the label on this little circle here was called dumb luck. how do you get referrals? I remember talking to my coach when I first started this, and he said, Melinda, this isn't a predictable business. This is just luck when you get a referral from another agent. And, I'm really stubborn and strong-willed, and I thought, it's not luck. I'm going to make my own luck. How do you create your own luck? Okay, so the first is, I call it grab the microphone. So when you're in a class, when you're at your association, when you're at a lender-sponsored event, when you're at a convention, whatever it is, grab the microphone. Get yourself noticed, and not in a self-serving way, ever. It's always from contribution. Ask a good question. And when you ask that question, don't be a secret agent. You've all heard that, I'm sure. Don't be a secret agent. When I grab the microphone, or when I put in a question, it'll say Melinda DiPerna, San Diego. And I'll say that, hi, it's Melinda DiPerna, and I service sunny San Diego. I have a question for you. Be purposeful, be meaningful, participate, ask good questions, and contribute without expectation. So what you want to become is the person that people think of when they think of referrals. So that gal I mentioned from Ohio has been gone for about a year now. And of the office of 450 agents that she worked in, she thought to reach out to me when her brother needs an agent in Ohio, 2,000 miles away. That's not by accident. That's creating my own luck, because I've stayed in touch with her, and I have a reputation as someone who knows somebody, and I'm not digging in trying to get paid. I'm ready to contribute, whether she has a license or not. The ideal is that people are calling you and saying, who do you know in Ashtabula, Ohio? Okay. And of course, I have the Tony Robbins quote here: the median of preparation and opportunity creates the offspring we call luck. All right, how? Let's get into a little bit of nitty gritty. The first thing, how do you get started? So we had a few people, so at least a quarter of the people in here have never done an agent-to-agent referral. So I'll talk about a couple of things here that can help you get started in that, and then I'll dig into some advanced techniques. Later on, I will give away 2 books that have to do with those advanced techniques, and some coaching for somebody who wants to set up a system. So stick with us if you want those things. So the first, and I'm glad that this is with your association of realtors, is competence. So the first step in anything is to be competent. You heard Catherine, who's a top producer, say she's not necessarily looking for top producers. She's looking for people who can close the deal. She's looking for people who will relate well, for all of that. So stick to your strengths. So I mentioned Hemet and Temecula. If you've been to Hemet once to visit for a party or to visit your grandmother, don't raise your hand for the Hemet referral. Have a relationship with the Hemet person and recommend them. Remember I said contribute without expectation? Because that person in Hemet will remember you. There's a guy that I know in Newport Beach, and there's a colleague in my former office in Del Mar who had a $2.5 million listing for there. He came to me, he said, Melinda, who do you know in Newport Beach? And instead of being coming from scarcity and not sharing my referral partner, because I haven't given that partner a $2.5 million referral. So instead of being afraid of sharing, I shared his information. I connected to the 2 of them. There's no money that's going to take place. But you know what's really cool? The agent in Newport sent me flowers. Flowers that were good enough that my boyfriend was a little curious about where they came from. I didn't expect that, but that was the extra touch. Here I am 3 years down the road still talking about the flowers that John sent me from Newport Beach, even better than the little brownies the guy in LA sends me. You don't have to send gifts, but you need to say thank you. Honestly, there's a gal that I've sent 3 referrals in the last 1.5 years in the desert. And I love getting the checks, okay? I'm a high D, I like to get paid. That's really, I don't need my ego stroked. But you know what? She hasn't said thank you. Do you think that that relationship might be up for grabs because she hasn't said thank you, not loving back on me? Yeah, it could. She did fine with the clients. And the clients are always first, but remember those things. So a couple of strategies. Let me get back to it. Stick to your strengths. Rookies and novices are okay, maybe, if you're sticking to your strengths and you're honest about it. Don't ever present yourself as something you're not. The agent can check your production. Referrals are earned, not expected. So by a show of hands or in the comment section, how many of you have had a brother, a sister, or a friend that you found out that on Facebook or at Thanksgiving or wherever it was, I bought a house, and you're trying to be excited for them and they never asked you about it? Well, yeah, Carol, you have, right? I think we all have. And it's easy to be mad at first. And then you really have to look within yourself and say, well, did I earn that? Did I stay in touch? Did I let my cousin in Ohio know that I had an agent there for them? If they're local, it's even worse. You know, did I earn that business? And the same is true with referrals with partners, like the gal in, might I say, the gal in Palm Desert may be feeling like she's got me wrapped up. Yet the next time I may interview another agent out there. Okay. So also don't be afraid to make new relationships. I was at a KW conference in February, right before lockdown. And there's another gal here in my office that also does a lot of referral business. She kind of modeled it after me, but she views me as a competitor rather than a colleague. And we're talking to the same people. I have an agent in Big Bear who I adore. And I was introducing her to him and his wife. And she said, oh, but you're Melinda's referral partner. And I looked at her and I said, Carla, I don't think she's on here today. I said, Carla, but you want the best agent. I said, and I may not be the right match for every referral they ever sent to San Diego. So make those relationships without an expectation of something in mind, just like you do your database. So if there's one thing you get from class today, is that the agents are just another database. They're my clients. I treat them like my clients. And you will be shocked at how much business, like I said, you can double your GCI because you have a whole new client base if you're purposeful about it. Bring your A game. Make sure, I was coaching my client, a client this morning, and she was talking about somebody she plays pool with, and how she went and dropped by a listing packet with him, but she hadn't dug into his motivation very well on the listing appointment because she didn't want to dig in because the personal relationship. Well, if we don't dig into their motivation, do you think that later on we may have a problem because we didn't really understand why they were selling? You know, he's selling because he's getting divorced. She didn't want to talk about that touchy subject. Well, that changes motivation of selling versus a trade up, right? So make sure you bring your A game and don't just assume that you've got the business, or always give them your best and perfect the handoff. So get ready on your keyboard because this is where I'll give away the book. Perfecting the handoff. Do any of you have agents that have left the business? Agents from your office that you had a good rapport with?
We're getting some yeses.
Yeah, like what, 87% a year leave the business, right? How about agents that moved away? Especially in our military community, we have a lot of military spouses that are agents. They moved away, but they really worked hard to build their business here, or agents who retired, as well as just the regular referral. Perfect that handoff, your team. This is my partner. This is my referral partner. Perfect the handoff of the business. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of different opportunities. So there's the referrals I've been talking about, the active agents in different areas. There's those other scenarios too. Oh, and commercial agents too. We have commercial brokerage or commercial offices. So who handles their residential business? So I build those relationships with those people. And it's funny, the part about people moving away, it started with me being entrepreneurial, not purposeful. It started with me flippantly when somebody was leaving the office and moving to Maryland saying, oh, well, I know a really great agent if you need somebody back here. And lo and behold, 6 months later, I got a call from that agent saying, guess what? I need an agent. Somebody I sold a house 3 years ago needs to sell. And the light bulb went off on my head and said, how many other agents do I know are hanging their license as a referral agent somewhere else, or has a book of business here that they're no longer servicing? They just stopped calling them. They stopped their quarterly calls. They stopped their monthly emails. They stopped their texts or their Popeyes. Well, what a fabulous opportunity for me to be that agent. I don't know, we have like 22,000 or 30,000 agents in San Diego County. Well, why not me? So there's a book called The Golden Handoff, and it talks about different scenarios of how to purposefully do your business with other agents when they're transitioning out of business in your area. So Sergio, I think we're going to go for the first 2 people. I'll drop ship this directly to you, drop your email in there, and then we'll follow up. So the first 2 who respond, we're going to give the golden handoff, because there's different ways. A retiring agent, you might buy their list.
Respond with their email?
With their email, yes. Okay. Name and email. Okay,
perfect.
And then there's another tactic that you could just give them a referral fee. I won't talk percentages, but a referral fee.
All right, perfect.
An item for any business. But the handoff is everything. How you present it is everything.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
So do we have some winners?
We do. Let's see now. That's what's nice about the system, is it records everything.
Yeah.
So we've got Dominique Vescuso, and in order 1034, Tracy Garmon. Is that right, Tracy? I think I got it right.
So Dominique and Tracy, I'm going to connect with you after and get your address. I'll drop ship it right to you. And then I'll also follow up with you to see if there's something you want to implement from that. Because if you're like me, you'll go to these classes, and then if you don't implement anything, what was the point? We've all had hours and hours and hours of Zoom classes in the last 3 months. So let's make something happen from it. I'm committed to you to help you make something happen from it. Okay. Communicate. So this is talking about your agent. So ask questions. Double the amount of communication that they say they want. So I'll ask the agent before we do the handoff, how involved do you want to be? And if they say, oh, I just want to know when they close, I'll say, okay, great. And I'll let them know when we go under contract, and I'll let them know when we close. If they want every week, then the truth is they're probably not a great match for me, because you already probably realized I'm pretty high D on the DISC profile, which is dominant driver. So that probably isn't a great referral for me if they want me to communicate every week with them. But if they do, and it is a good referral, I'm going to systematize that communication, and I'm going to double the communication that they ask for. Okay, same as we do with our clients. In KW, we have something called SMART plans. I think the most common knowledge, words for it would be a DRIP plan. So systematize your communication long-term with your agent partners so that they don't forget about you. I had a gal named JoJo in Hawaii, in Kaneohe, who sent me a friend that was coming to 32nd Street Naval Base. And it went great. And I probably didn't do a great job of staying in touch with her. A year later, I see on Facebook a post, who's my agent for Oceanside? I'm like, hello? Of course I'm your agent for Oceanside. I immediately call her and say, JoJo, did I do something wrong? She didn't know that Oceanside and Camp Pendleton might also be the same agent that services San Diego and 32nd Street. Okay, because I didn't have systematized communication. This is all learned from my trial and error. Yeah. Make sure you systematize that communication, because they'll forget about you if they don't do a lot of referrals to your area, or if they don't know it, they'll forget. Okay, I think your people at your association will love this part. Get a contract, get a contract, get a contract. This is business. Get your referral agreements. Put it in writing. Put what your expectation of commission is. Put what your expectation of where. put your expectation for how long you want this in writing and you want to honor the contract. However, I will go one step further. I've had referrals that the contract was only for 6 months because they thought the client was ready to go. I have one right now that they thought it was ready to go. The contract's expired, she's changed brokerages, yet I was following up with this client. It's 2 years later, and he said, I'm so glad you reached out. We were thinking about buying now. We're ready. I immediately called that referring agent because I keep really great notes in my CRM of where it came from. I immediately called her and said, Gloria, I'm so excited. They're finally going to buy. What's your new brokerage? Let's do another referral agreement, because that's what's right. That's what's in integrity, is to pay her the money, even though I don't legally owe it. So you need to have a contract, but you also need to have really high ethics, because referral business, like most business, almost all of my business is referral of some sort. It's all about your integrity long term. Otherwise, you can just do one-offs and you can pay Zillow all you want. And don't bother with this. Okay, outbound referrals. So that I talk a lot about inbound, and I'm sorry, the bird is taking a bath and going crazy. Outbound referrals. This person that you're referring out, whether you have a strong relationship or not, I encourage you to keep them in your database as if they're still your client. And that is because of experience I had with my own sister. My first referral, she's what we call a high S on that disc profile. And that means she likes to please other people. Okay, she doesn't like to rock the boat. I matched her up with who I thought was the right person on Cape Cod. And that person put her on a MLS search and then didn't do anything else. Well, my sister was divorcing and needed a lot more hand-holding than that. She needed a lot more. And I didn't realize it, except that fortunately, because she's my sister, I talk to her every week. And I said, how's it going? And she didn't want to tell me because she's a pleaser. And she finally did. But she didn't want to fire the agent either because, you know, she wants to stay in relationship. I said, I'll handle it. I'll fire the agent. I'll find you a new one. So make sure you stay in touch with your contact and the person, and you ask them how it's going in case there's any problems, and you deal with that. They're still your client. You're still getting a paycheck. You know, they're still your client. Yep. And then finally, I believe in being transparent about the money. I think that if we are, I think that your family, this is especially why family members sometimes I think don't use you. One, they may not want to. They don't want to mix family and business or friends and business, but they don't understand how you get paid. So there's no shame in telling them, well, let me set you up with an agent. I'm going to get X for a referral fee for doing that. And in doing that, I'm vetting the agent for you. I'm doing the legwork. I have a comment, I'll say, friends don't let friends use random agents. I'd rather them not just use the person whose name is on the notepad to list their house. I'll vet the person on the notepad if they want to, but we'll make sure that they've got a good match. So be transparent about the money. I think that will actually help you to gain more referrals if your family understands that you get paid for this. They don't want to bother you a lot of times. I also think that with the client, you don't want them to suddenly see the closing statement. Let's say you referred out, Serge, you referred cousin Joe, and he sees the closing statement and he sees that Serge just got paid $5,000 for this deal and he didn't know it. That could make for some awkward family dinners if he didn't know you were getting paid. Because oftentimes they'll also ask, and we all know it's illegal for us to give them back money. They'll say, well, why are you keeping that? What'd you do? Right? And we can't give them back that money. I'll be honest, I took my sister on vacation with some of that money that I got from her Cape Cod house. Okay. All right, glitter. Remember I mentioned the first one gets it? Well, that's the reality of our business. So when you are trying to get a referral, especially this is if it's off social media or your inner office email, be first. Speediness matters. You heard Catherine mention, are they timely? Don't let that, just because they're an agent texting you or emailing you, you don't have the leisure to not answer them in a timely manner, because the way you behave to them is the way you're going to behave to their client. Okay? Be different. You don't have to be kitsy. You don't have to do karaoke, but I will send you a video if if you're looking for a referral, and I'm going to pick up my phone right away. Hey, it's Melinda DiPerna in San Diego, and I just want to tell you why we should do business together. Okay, so if you can be different, be memorable. Provide proof of production. The very first slide on here you saw was a screenshot from HomeSnap that tells the MLS sales I've made in the last 2 years, from whenever that screenshot was. Provide proof of production. If you're an expert in Murrieta, then why not show them all those homes you've sold in Murrieta? Or if they're looking for a luxury agent who sold over $2 million, show them all your luxury sales, because that proof of production will earn you that referral much faster. Build rapport and be excellent. It's no different than getting a client, any client. Go ahead, Serge.
Melinda, here's a question for you. And you may have already started to answer, so forgive me, but I want to get it out there because it was just asked. What's your vetting process to find the right outbound agent?
Well, first, that's a great question. First, I will try to already be in relationship with somebody. And I may have 10 New York City is a great example. I have a daughter that went to college in New York City, and I have family of my significant others in New Jersey and in Brooklyn. So I made an effort, knowing that I will likely at someday have referrals to or from there, to get to know people in New York. But I have 10 of them. How do I do that? I like them all. Some of them are friends. So I will first ask about the client. So if it's somebody that I know, you heard Catherine mention the DISC profile. I'm big on that. That's a KW thing. If you've ever gone to KW training, we're big on that, of understanding the personality. If you're a slow Southern boy, that might not be a great match for my high intensity New Yorker, or it might be. I also will look at their expertise. So I had somebody recently looking for an investment property in Brooklyn. So I called my 3 agents in Brooklyn and said, tell me about your experience with this kind of investment property. And I listened to what kind of experience they have with that. I might call another agent that I know has done a deal with them, or I'll ask them for a reference of who's done a deal and ask about it. So it's no different from anyone else that I'm interviewing. If I were interviewing my own agent, I'd be interviewing, but I'm interviewing for the match. I am a solo agent, so I have to be honest that I tend to prefer other solo agents. However, some teams do a really fabulous job on the detail-oriented side of things. So sometimes when I have a very high detail-oriented client, I might actually go with a team member, a larger team. Yet I always, and my relationship's usually with the rainmaker of that team. However, I will always say, who are they going to be working with? I want to talk with who they're going to be working with. And I want to know what your process is, so I can make sure that's okay with my client, that they're going to get handed off at these different processes. Right. So if it's a showing agent model, or if it's a buyer's agent model, I want to know that up front. And yeah, production, I want to be sure that they're able to close. But I don't care, you know, I'm not one of those that puts up, you need to have done, it's Southern California, so let's say, you know, 20 deals. The rest of the country might say they want you to have done 50 deals. And I probably will look at years in the business. I'm not a spring chicken. So when I'm sending a senior, I may not be sending to, you know, a brand new agent, because that senior may have 10 deals under their belt already, which is more than the agent's ever sold. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
Yes, indeed. Sounds like, sounds like reading off the comment, sounds like relationships trump production experience. And I agree. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, relationships definitely trump production experience, though I expect them to be able to produce. They've got to be able to sell the house. You know, have you ever worked with, and I'll bring it up because Serge is a lender, have you ever worked with a lender at an open house? You know, we just had an attack this last weekend, actually, of a colleague in Virginia is in the ICU being attacked at an open house. So when I was first in this business, there was a tall lender guy that had no business experience like me, and we would work the open houses together. And I felt like he was kind of my bodyguard. And then about 6 months in, I realized every lead I ever got him, he couldn't convert. So at some point you have to make sure that the people that you're in business with can do the business.
Yeah.
So that is, production does matter, but I'm not against rookies by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so virtual relationships and reputation. How do you get started? Be known, be liked, be trusted. It's a familiar thing. Like, they need to like, know, and trust you, or know, like, and trust you, or at least believe that they do. So you can probably tell already that I have a social media presence. It's important to me. It's okay if it's not important to you. I have another colleague that I do accountability with every morning. Social media is not her thing. Her relationships have been built by conferences. Okay, or, you know, like BNI might be another way. You have a BNI person that are networking, that you then meet their network kind of thing. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, reviews, and in KW we have an app called Kelly and Connect that you can build your reputation. But you can build content and build a reputation if you're not within the KW framework. And I want you to know that people don't just refer within agency. We refer for the best agent. It's just I happen to know more KW people. I will Google your name and see what comes up. So if you've got YouTube content of the yin yang, and that's impressive, and I see you do a lot of VA clients, then I'm likely to refer to you. So your reputation, manage your reputation, and then bring your virtual relationships to life. So I have a very purposeful system of what I do. It's called Do the Database 2. I didn't invent it, but you take 2 letters a week of the alphabet, and you're reaching out to those people in your database. So my database includes my CRM. Yet honestly, I don't have everybody who's in my Facebook, my IG, my LinkedIn in my CRM. So I go onto Facebook on the Monday of that week and I pull everybody. So this week is Y and Z, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it's Y and Z. So I pull everybody who's YA. So I'll put in the initials in my friends list. And you'll get a Facebook message from me. My reason for, and it'll try to be something of meaning. But what I want to do is to take that Facebook message and bring it to the next level. So I want to build that relationship. I want to have the offline conversation. So it's all about being purposeful, whatever it is for you, whatever that media is for you. Going to events matters. Like Women's Council has been a good place for people to meet. Not me, but I have other colleagues that have. They refer to just their Women's Council people, or they refer just to CRES, or they refer just to MRPs. Go to those meetings, go to those breakouts, and get to know people. The friend or the colleague that I mentioned in Maui, he's all feeder market. So his market, and he knows what they are. They're the Bay Area, they're Arizona, they're Vegas, they're San Diego, they're LA. So he makes trips to those places and he purposefully visits and meets the people who are in production there and gets in relationships. So when they think of Maui, they think of Randy. Okay, so go out and go and visit. I know on vacation, we don't necessarily want to do business, but it's a good time to make an appointment with your office, your branch, and go and see people. And curate that professional reputation, as I mentioned. And then this one's my favorite. Yes, the dog and the bird. And no, I'm not a bird person. I just don't have good boundaries when it comes to animals in my house. But this is my bird dogs. Bird dogs are the people. So when we're talking about training for just lead generation, they're the probate attorneys, they're the CPAs, they're the lenders. They're the people who can send you more than one referral. For me, my bird dogs are military people, and they're usually military spouses. I have a gal in Lenore, which is up kind of by Bakersfield, Fresno, I think, area, but it's pilots. And I do really well with pilots, and we get a lot of transfer of people from there to here, and from Pensacola to here, and from Whidbey Island to here, and from Virginia, Norfolk to here. So I've developed relationships with people who are bird dogs who will send me multiple referrals.
Nice.
And then when you think about it, then of course your clients, some of them become bird dogs too, same thing. Like I said, the thing to get away from this is that other agents can also be your clients. So that's what I've curated, is that other agents are my clients. So think about
huge.
I think I have a slide here on migration patterns. So where somebody in the class, where would most of your referrals come from for Southwest Riverside County? Is it mostly LA? Is it mostly San Diego?
Stand by.
Yep.
Give me a second. Could anyone, no response yet.
No response.
Okay, let's see. Nope. Anyone?
Let's
Oh,
just.
I got someone. Oh, I got some.
Oh,
Here's
good.
something. Most of our referrals come from the LA area.
Okay.
Here's Gabriel. Thanks, Gabriela.
Gabriella, so then what we want to do is we want to make sure you have relationships with agents in that area, in the LA area. You can also take the guesswork out and go to some of the census information to see where people are coming from. You know, I know anecdotally and empirically, I've got people from the Bay Area. I've got people from the LA area, one particular area in LA, and then my military bases. We also have software that allows us to show the most referrals within KW coming to San Diego were Austin, Scottsdale, within San Diego. So these are actually signed referrals. Columbia, Maryland, Coon Rapids, Minnesota. Ooh, that's the strangest thing. Tempe, El Segundo, San Antonio, Henderson. And then there's also outbound. So develop relationships with those areas. So you want to grow your agent-to-agent database. Mastermind. Do collaborations, do events, retreats. These are all things that I've been able to take advantage of, and I think I've touched on already on how you grow that agent-to-agent database. Are there any questions on this one? Then feed your database. We've kind of touched on that. Keep communicating. I want to show you a little bit of the collateral that I use. I have specific collateral for my agent-to-agent referral business. So I have a business card. This vision's not great, but it looks like a postcard. It looks like a San Diego travel card. I don't put my picture on my regular business cards, and I don't have San Diego plastered. My regular business cards are more, you know, subdued, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the back, my business card says cities served, because people think San Diego, but then like the Oceanside gal, she doesn't know I service Oceanside. Mm-hmm. I also here put that I'm a luxury agent and I'm an MRP, because those are two important referral aspects. If you're in the luxury business, luxury agents refer to other luxury agents, even for their non-luxury business. It is like a little in-group bias club, okay? So I have that graphic. Make sure you have your address on your agent-to-agent cards. I can't tell you how many business cards I get. I get home from the event, and I can't remember if you serve Minnesota or Missouri. Oh. Okay, so this is the one case you need your address on it, and you need the state and the city. It happens. I'll have a stack always. And then while I'm still at the event, so this is I usually go to 3 to 4 events a year. I have these in my hotel room, and I send out, see, it's matching collateral. So when they get home, they get another touch. So it's really important that you get into relationship quickly, because 6 months from now, they won't remember where they met you.
That's a good point.
And then on the back, I have the same cities served. And here I have that little Google map that shows the geography. Because a lot of people, have you ever seen people tag you and think that you service something in Oakland, because they don't know California at all. Okay, so this tells them a little bit about that. I get that, and then later on, they get note cards with the same graphics. So it's remembering, it's to be memorable. So get in relationship. I do business card, postcard. I use BombBomb video. Again, it's the face. This is where it is important, because you're going to have a lot of agent relationships. This is where it is important for them to see your face. It's an intense period of relationship development after you meet somebody. And then again, go ahead.
Is this a good moment for a question, or you want to keep going?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, where did it go here? The question was related to how much referral do you ask for? Does it vary?
I'm not sure if I can talk about that on a association webinar. I'm not sure if that violates our antitrust. Maybe Sylvia can pipe in if a yes or a no. It's sizable and it does vary. I recommend, and you can go and you can ask me privately, and I'll tell you what's pretty standard, even though there's no standard. Don't get greedy. So there's a standard kind of amount, and then I'll see, up to 10% more than that, and I'll still do the referral, and they'll always justify it that they're ready to go. And then I find out the pre-approval was with, Bank of America. And that's not going to fly in San Diego right now because they can't close the deal fast enough to get the offer accepted. So I need to go through that. And they really weren't ready to go. They said this one that's just going now, they told me 2 years ago they wanted a duplex. Well, guess what? Shared credit score was like a 480. We're not buying a duplex, and they can afford, what can they afford? Up to 450. They're not buying a duplex, okay? So they weren't ready to go. And if that agent had asked for the higher amount, it's not cool. Some of them are going to be easy. Some of them are going to be hard. That's the nature of our business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Is that the only question?
Yes, let's see. There was another one. This is just a comment. And 3 events yearly are. I believe this is to an earlier comment. The 3 events yearly are KW based.
2 of them are KW based. So we have Family Reunion and Mega Camp. We won't be having Mega Camp this year. So 2 are KW based, and I used to only do KW events. As this strategy is evolving, I'm working harder to do non-KW events. So last year, Lab Coat Agents was here in San Diego, so I went to that. So I'll look for things that are in LA or at you guys or something like that. I'm also a luxury member for KW. That's actually my favorite event. If I had to go to only one event, it would be that because it's smaller. So I do like those 2 KW events are huge, and they were great when I was getting started to build the database. Now I want to narrow it down a little bit and spread it out.
Nice.
So like for me, I would love to come speak physically at your location, because then I'm meeting 40 agents in Riverside County that I might do business with.
Sure thing.
So even those kind of events, any kind of educational event, we do something called Bold, and I've really been encouraged that I should be it's once a week for 8 weeks, that I should be going somewhere else like Phoenix to do that, to develop those relationships where we would have a lot of referrals coming on, or even fly, people have said you should fly to Norfolk because that's the other big Navy station. I'm not willing to make that commitment, but there's lots of opportunities, and we could brainstorm. At the end, I'm going to give away a coaching session, and we could brainstorm what events might work for you if that's something you're interested in. I think I've covered all of this except 2. I know Catherine covered loving on them and giving them reviews. Supporting your referral partners' endeavors is important. Sometimes it may not be your one thing, but if it's important to them, then make it important to you. Sometimes it's just as simple as when they put on Facebook that they're doing their birthday fundraiser and having the $10 to give to that, or buying the Girl Scout cookies from their kid. Or like Serge, actually what he did for me, he's worked hard on this long-term relationship with me. He came and ran stairs with me at the convention center because he knows that was my thing right now. So it gave him a half an hour, us some time together, but he also supported my endeavor. Catherine, when she asked me at the beginning of COVID, that agent that's on here, she had already recorded this video for me. She said yes, so that's supporting my endeavors. But then when she asked me to help found a fitness and wellness group for Facebook, I really didn't want to, but you better bet I supported her endeavor because that was important to her. Okay.
That's true.
And then finally, these are some things not to do. And this is my final slide. We're wrapping up. I know some people have to leave. Don't give your referrals to first come, first served. Vet your people, interview them. Don't participate in fan clubs. That's the Facebook I've heard it called the Facebook Mafia, in that you're just supporting somebody blindly or endorsing them blindly because you met them once and you had a beer with them. You better know what kind of business they do and why you're supporting them.
Yep.
This has a lot to do with social media. Do not attack others. I've seen this, that people have said publicly, you've never sold a house in Fallbrook.
Ooh.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. And go out of your wheelhouse. Don't drop the ball. That happens a lot. I've picked up probably 4 referrals in the last 2 years because the agent they awarded it to, the first come, first serve, or the fan club agent, dropped the ball on it. So have a system. I don't care if it's just a whiteboard. Have a system for this. I already said don't be cheap. Make sure you honor your contracts and remember the people who sent you the business. Don't work without a written agreement or feel entitled. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So meaning have relationships with more than one agent in the places. And I always, any class I teach, don't be a jerk. I don't know about you guys, but I am so tired of jerky people. Be nice.
Yep.
Just be nice to everybody. Be nice when you don't get the referral.
Yep.
Okay, and that's it. So we'll open up for questions. And for those who have stayed, I am offering, I do some coaching. I'm not here to sell coaching at all. Mine's like my business is very organic. And I was thinking about what I could provide to value. Serge asked, what could I provide value? And I think if there's somebody who wants to get deeper into agent-to-agent referrals, whether you've never done one or you just want to systematize and be more strategic about it, what I'd like to offer is 2 hours of coaching to help either set up your system or systematize it and your strategy. We can do that. I think the most efficient would be to be 4 weeks, a half an hour. So it gives you time to implement along the way and ask questions along the way. So that's what I'd like to offer, is to offer that. And Serge, I hadn't really thought about how we would decide.
You know, Melinda, this is a great, let me interject. So last Thursday, I did a how to set up your professional network. Was it last Thursday? Last week. And by Friday, I was meeting with someone who was very open to the idea because, and I'm going to tie these together. One of the things that I said was that you had to make a mindset shift. And that applies in that area as that webinar, and then also in yours. This is not the new shiny little, you know, the little new strategy. You know, it requires a heartfelt, you know, desire to build this style. Wouldn't you say, this pillar?
Yeah, this is not a get rich quick.
Exactly.
No, this is relationship-based business.
Right.
It basically is treating other agents
Yes.
as clients.
So I caution.
Build your database, feed your database.
Right.
You know, do all of those things. It's not
Exactly.
rocket science.
Right.
There's definitely things I've learned along the way, and it changes. And I try to welcome the change as an opportunity to get better at what I do.
And so that I'm using that on purpose. I'm saying, I caution anyone that's thinking about it, don't look at it as a new shiny thing in the room. This is really, it has to come from the heart. You know, yes, there's the mind aspect and getting paid, all that, but you've got to have a pretty clear why you want to do something like this and add this strategy. So that's all. That's my little disclaimer.
Well, I was going to say, Serge, if I can, I had, you know, we have an in-house group for my brokerage, my office, and someone asked a question, and then somebody said, well, that's just a lazy agent. If you're the person who automatically thinks an agent's lazy, this isn't for you. I have the utmost respect. Do I get frustrated with agents? Yes. I have the utmost respect. You have to believe that you're working with professionals, and this is an amazing way to do business. And that's what I want to work with. So Serge, I'm going to leave it to you on how we get that person, whether we ask for emails or how we do that, but I would like to reward that. And it's typically, that's about a $350 value at 2 hours of my time.
I believe that. I believe that. Well, there's some folks that had to take off. There was another, you know, there's a lot of Zoom meetings going on in today's world.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people had to leave. A few, let's see how we're doing on, actually, yeah, we're down to about half. So for those of you that still remain, and I did get one response that was interested in the coaching. those of you that remain are interested, how about the old? Remember the old? We'll put your name in a hopper and we'll pull it out. That's something that literally we can do. Anyone interested? Go ahead and put your email on the Zoom group chat. That'd be great.
Right. I see somebody asking, I think it was Mike, who asked if I focus more on outbound or inbound. So while they're putting up there, I want to address that. The MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, there's some little blurb in there that I missed the first 3 times I read it. And somebody pointed it out to me in February, is that we want to be equal, because the truth is inbound referrals are expensive. Okay, there's a large portion of our commission that we give to the agent who gave it to us. Outbound referrals are almost 100% profit. Like I said, the one in Ashtabula, it's less than an hour's of my time and I'm getting paid. So you really want to try to even them out. Yet even with the largest teams that I know and people doing $250,000 of GCI, it still is very much the inbound referral focused. So it's funny you mention it, because I was listening to Deepak 21-day meditation this morning, and the mantra was to give what you want to receive, basically. So in order to get more inbound referrals, give more outbound, or tag more people, or look for those opportunities. So if let's say you're a caller and you're talking to people, how many times do they say, oh no, I don't want to sell this, but I've got a place in Ramona. So be the person that says, let me find you someone in Ramona, and you'll end up getting more inbound referrals just because of the law of reciprocity.
Yep.
So did I answer that question, Mike? They're mostly all inbound. I have a goal to give out 25% this year outbound of what I get inbound, trying to get up to that 1-to-1. It was about 10% in the past.
Well, I have seven interested individuals. 1, 2, 3.
Sandy, Mike,
7.
Carol,
Uh-huh.
Deborah, Roger.
All right. 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then I'm also going to ask you guys to please give your feedback to Sylvia or to Sergio. I have not created a survey yet. However, it's really important to me to see what you want to hear more of or less of.
Cool.
I'm very passionate about this and want to be able to bring you value.
All right, we'll make sure that I may have to tackle that. I'd hate to ask Sylvia to do one more thing.
Yeah. Sure.
But you guys,
some feedback, feel free to give it to Sergio.
I'll handle it. Yeah, I'll handle that part. That's fine.
If you say I can't, the bird was so distracting, go cook it for dinner.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll make sure that I handle that. And well, Melinda, you know what? This one's interesting because choosing, it wasn't like the first answer gets the prize. So would you like me to do the old-fashioned way, literally, put and
Absolutely.
pick?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Let's find out who does that.
All right.
I'm just now getting to see the comments, so I'm looking to see if
Go ahead. I'm gonna bow out for like 30 seconds, okay?
Okay. I'm looking at the comments here to see. Yeah, Deborah calls 3 agents. She's looking for someone who will treat the client professionally as she would, because her reputation's on the line. Sandy had a timeline with an issue on a referral to out of state. We have referrals coming in from the LA area, from San Diego, a lot of military. And like those of you who do the military, do you ever have the person, I have this right now, and I didn't really address this. I believe in referring as opposed to coming over to your turf and showing property. Have I sold property in Murrieta and Temecula? Yes. Under the circumstances that my clients were looking in both places still, and so having them work with 2 agents didn't serve them well. I've come up with a model now. I've got a gal who's actually showing for me in Murrieta if it's not a pure referral. But I am quick. I lived in San Clemente for 12 years. I know that area actually. I raised my family there. I know that area better than I know San Diego. I could sell in San Clemente. I don't. I refer all of that business because I think it has to come down to how's the client best served. But I was going back to the military. If you've got people going to Camp Pendleton, and they're looking in Oceanside and in Marietta, you know, let's talk about how we can best serve them, and you can still get paid too. But it's always got to stay in, I think, that ethics of how do we best serve them. The truth is, I've belonged to your association because you have different lock boxes. So I had to for the Supra. And I just don't know your area as well. And I don't know any of the coming soon deals. And I don't know, somebody was talking about today, a property that Falconer is a cross-through street that Google Maps actually sends people going that way. And that might not be good for my client with a 2-year-old kind of thing. So think outside the box of how you can best serve your client, even though you can go to San Diego, you can go to LA. Is that best for them? Let's see. I see somebody said, everything was great, including the African gray. What's my radius on selling? What about family members? Do I go outside the area if it's a close by city? I don't have any family here in San Diego. I'm a transplant. I actually have one nephew who lives a few miles away, but I never see him. So family, I always refer, but even in San Clemente, like I said, I've got a partner there that she and I made a deal early on that we would just split every cross-county deal 50-50. So I wasn't coming to San Clemente. She wasn't going to Oceanside. But we would work it like a team as a co-list kind of thing. My radius on selling, because I'm 95% referral-based business, I do run my tail over most of this county. Mostly on the coastal cities, because that's what I know best. I've had a business in Oceanside. My vacation rentals were in Oceanside. I've lived in Cardiff. I've lived downtown. I live in Point Loma now. And because I service so many military, I've gotten good at the South Bay. But I also have people that I can bring in. Escondido, you know, I tend not to jump for those kind of opportunities, certain sections of Fallbrook. So I kind of have to know my expertise. I'm not a farmer. So I don't know. I was in the Del Mar Carmel Valley office before I was in Metro. And there's a lot of tracks there, $1 million tracks, but a lot of tracks. I don't know the difference between a plan 1 and a plan 4, but I sure can do the stat research really fast. And I sure can help a client who's moving to San Diego figure out if they want to live in Del Mar or Rancho Penasquitos or La Mesa. I'm good at asking questions better than I am on a specific neighborhood. And when that serves my client well, I serve them. If that's not what they need, then I'll hook them up with somebody who's a better fit. I really believe it's like colleges. I have kids that went to college. That college is not, or not college, but referrals are not a contest to be won. They're a match to be made.
Wow.
And if those of you, if you guys have kids heading into college, talk to me about that, because both of my kids were smart enough to go to Harvard. As it turned, it took me a while to get rid of that dream for them and realize that was a crappy match for both of my kids.
That's great. I like that quote. So I'm going to ask you to repeat it in a minute because I was juggling this a little. So I dropped in all the names and I shook it around and I pulled one out. And so the winner is, and then I'll go over the ones that aren't there. Deborah.
Okay. Deborah Fistry, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then
all
Deborah,
right.
sure, we've got her email. Serge will work together to make sure,
Okay.
and Deborah will get that on the calendar. You guys, I think my email was up there on the front. A couple of things. I'm happy to share my slides with everyone. So if you've dropped your email in here, I'll share my slides with everybody with my contact information. I also have started a private Facebook group for people who want to do more agent-to-agent referrals. It hasn't got off the ground yet. We got hit by COVID a week after, or less than a week after I started that. So we'll be doing that. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions at any point in time, whether it's now or it's 3 years from now that you say you want to implement this and you want to get going, okay? And so it's Melinda DiPerna, Melinda@SanDiegoRealEstateSolutions.com.
Let me put it in there. Let me put it in real quick. I'll drop it in there real quick.
Put in my number too. It's
Sure.
858-848-7555.
Sure. And we'll get, everything is going to actually go out in a couple of days. The presentation.
Okay.
So that's good. Let me see. Does that go? Does that go out? Did that post yet? Hold on a second. No, it didn't go out yet. I keep hitting enter and it's not, there it is. Okay, there goes your email.
Now
And give me your number, 858 again.
I got it.
You got it.
I forgot.
Cool.
I've got the chat now. There we go.
Perfect. Okay.
Everybody,
Awesome, Melinda.
Thank you for spending your time with me. Be well.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you all for hanging around and being a part of this post talk. So Melinda, thank you so much. Appreciate what you do and the way you live your life. You're a great role model. I know I haven't met your girls yet, but I know when I do, they're going to be just spitting image of you in their heart.
Not at all.
No?
They're fabulous women of their own. Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye,
Sylvia,
guys.
thank you, Mike. Thank you,
Bye,
Sandy.
everyone.
Thank you, Deborah. We'll be in touch. You guys have a great day.
I'm excited to working with you, Melinda.
I'm really excited, Deborah. We'll connect very quickly and get it on the calendar.
Cool. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you all. And please, if they have anything positive, let the association know that this Mindset Bootcamp was that we hit a home run with it. They need that input from us. When I took this to Connie back in, I think it was March, somewhere in March, end of March, I told her what we were trying to do, what I was trying to do, and then I got a hold of Melinda and then all our other presenters too, and they all gave from the heart and they brought some great value. And so thanks again, Melinda. Everyone have a great day. We'll be in touch. Reach out if you have any questions. Take care.
Go ahead, Sandy. Bye.
Thanks, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.